It's completely free of charge. This is for the community. It is television for the community, by the community. Come on down. Hey, we're at 28 South Orchard Street. Community Media Day is come on. Play with the green screen.
Just come on and have fun. And that's it.
On our list to talk to you about is a measure that is impacting WPAA. What happened there? And how does it affect stations like the one we're on?
There's an extra tax on cable TV bills that goes specifically for these little stations like this one to keep them alive.
This is a grand station. It's not a little station. This is
it's a prize-winning.
international
It's a
reach.
prize-winning station.
Once
I know
it hits
is.
YouTube, it's international. But go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
but and then part of the grants go to the schools, and they set up their video conferencing and their educational videos. So that money is supposed to go to those purposes. And several years ago, when the budget was in deficit, the negotiators took the money that was supposed to go for the stations and the schools and put it into the budget. And for the last couple of years, I've been trying to get it back. And this year, I did. And then at on the last day of voting in finance, I sit on Finance, Revenue, and Bonding, one of my 3 committees. Night before last, we were looking at the changes that we were going to make, and it was not in there. I went to the chairman, I said, you promised that you'd put it back. And they had forgotten it. So they put it back in, and we redid the numbers again. And now the money is going to its intended purpose.
So local access
They'll be able to get
stations,
their grants now.
now they
And
can
the
get their
schools will
grant.
be able to get their grants. And that was what the whole thing was for. And the co-chair from East Hartford, Jason Rojas, said, he agreed with me that it should be restored, and he said, this is why people have a bad opinion of government, when they see the monies that are supposed to be for one thing and then they're put into something else. And that, he doesn't like that. He said that's bad for credibility of your state government. And so I think he will keep it where it is. I think it's safe.
What else you got for
and you have to
Mary?
apply for the
Yeah.
grants, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
It's, you
And
know, it's,
qualify,
it's a
sure.
competitive program.
You can register to vote on election day.
At the town hall on the main floor, go to the registrar's office.
And you need your photo ID and a recent proof of residency that's within 90 days.
You can use a bank statement.
Your electric bill?
Credit card statement.
But please, everyone,
Vote
on
Excuse me, nothing, however, got done. Wallingford tends to do things in a measured manner. We don't jump into things right away. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that may not be. Fast forward about 10 years, we get to 1880.
A lot of research went into it, into that show, to make sure that the elements are there and it's not scary, and it's also a very fun show. It's not just 1, 2, 3. It's a whole story. They're at a superhero academy, and you know they're all cadets in training, and then evil comes, and what do you do then? So it is, even though it's a serious subject, it is a very fun show, and kids really, really love it and understand it.
So fun yet effective.
Yes.
Somebody that represents It's a Wonderful Life. I think you could say yours is probably one. Of course, you've been a barber for many years. Still are a barber, I understand. Once a week. Once a week. Okay. Your story is a very interesting one. You actually got your interest in cutting hair as a young child in Sicily. Your father was a barber as well.
Right.
Tell us about those early days.
It wasn't by choice.
Okay.
I was forced to learn the trade, because if your father is a barber, you're going to become a barber.
I spent 10 years in the minor leagues, and I just wanted to set out to improve equipment for umpires. I started a company called Force 3 Pro Gear, and really improving the equipment for umpires kept going as I was, umpiring in AAA. And I had this idea for a mask, but I couldn't really work on it until I was done umpiring. So it took me a good 5 years to develop, but this is the product that is really revolutionizing the sport right now. It's got springs in it, both models, and it's really taking off at the major league level and every level below it. It's a two-piece design, so you have a bottom mask and a top mask, and it's separated by the spring assemblies. So when the ball impacts it, the springs just give.
Right.
And so all the energy transfers to the springs and not to the head.
We finally got to the bottom with food and medicine, and too many dying and wounded badly, so that we were part of the surrender, which was an order to surrender. And as the film showed General King, he stated, "You did not surrender, I surrendered you. If any of you get home alive."
It started Oberk Steel in 1924 as a scrapyard. He had various scrap accounts, maybe a dozen scrap accounts in the area, and he also bought cars that had been in accidents, and he torched up equipment in the farms in the area. What he did is he separated the scrap properly and then sold the scrap to Schiavone, who sent it to the mills in Pittsburgh. So he had a scrapyard. As a matter of fact, my birth certificate, his occupation is junker, Junker. You don't see that very often anywhere.
Hi, I'm Julie Hipp, and I am the mom of Paul, who's 25 now. He was diagnosed on the autism spectrum at age 2.5. We've been on the journey within the autism navigation for over 22 years, and I really just hope that people have a greater awareness. I think we've come a long way since Paul was young, that they understand when you meet someone with autism that there's so much that they bring to the world, so many warm and genuine skills, and sometimes they may have a tough time with communication, but to just give it some time, right, and get to know the person. We embrace autism, and it's changed our lives for the better. We're much more understanding of all people, right, and that what they can bring to each day.
I didn't like school too much, and I didn't do too well in it, but I just wasn't for me, right? And I see a lot of that in my son, and I didn't want him to grow up not liking learning.
Right. And there's so many ways you can learn.
And I mean, homeschooling wasn't a thing when I was a kid, I guess, but I wish that I could have had that opportunity. And so we're giving it to him as long as we can. The philosophy is that we're not homeschooling him because we want to limit his education. We're homeschooling him because we want to expand it.
Mm-hmm. Do a lot with adult education and different age groups. I just did one 2 weeks ago with young kids, 17 to 21 years old. They're lost. And the guy goes, "Can you do a 4-hour seminar?" I go, "No." What do you need me for? They don't have a job. Well, we need to talk about first impressions, body language, how you look, what you wear. Boom. He goes, "Resume, 5 seconds." You walk into my office, 7 seconds to make a first impression, and 20 seconds before the average person will already make a decision whether they like you, trust you, or even do business with you. Absolutely. And you haven't even said a word. Haven't even said a word.
Mission in a word would be opportunity. We have a formal mission statement, and you can check it out on our website, which is hubcapwallingford.org. Where did the Hubcap name come from? When we first started, at the time, the Capstone Project was just coming out in the school system. Yeah. And what they were looking for was a neutral site for the students to work with the business community. Basically, that's where it came from. It was the hub of the Capstone Project. So Hubcap.
I didn't know what Dash was. Now I know.
team had 10,300 points. And they are the extra spicy.
The community women donates the money to scholarships and Holiday for Giving, which is long-standing Toys for Tots program in Wallingford. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
The farmers market has been happening this year at Doolittle Park. Next Saturday, check it out between 9 and noon.
Some of my friends from Africa, you will know apartheid.
Right.
I came over with a national team, which was like, they never had a situation like that where we traveled together. I came here with a mandate to meet with the International Olympic Committee, plead for acceptance back into the international arena because South Africa was cut off from international participation for 25 years at that time.
Owing to apartheid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of the laws and that.
I read a quote from someone, another photographer, and they said, "I don't take photos, they capture me. I see beauty in this. I see something that a lot of people will just walk by." Here we are.
For the last 2 summers, you've really been focusing on imagery from the street.
From the streets, yeah.
And now you have an exhibit.
It's not so much about me having an exhibit. To me, it's more about the people. And here we are about to embark on an exhibit and help Masters Manna.
And I want to read something, and this is from one of the subjects that you photographed, and perhaps it's from someone here. As one of the people in the photo said, "Every day I am invisible, every day people pass me by, but your picture of me seen on social media is called beautiful. I do not know what they see, but I know that my picture, your picture of me, reminds me that I have value."
We are living in a very fast-paced world right now. Given all the technology we have, we're doing things so fast and we're forgetting that we're human beings, not human doings. So that pacing is so important, and that's why our, praying keeps us, kind of slows us down, keeps us in a pace that's kind of more attuned with our humanness. But when you have all these things scheduled and you have all of these things to do, you can get lost, and then you're kind of running around in distress. Definitely slowing down, opting out of some things. It's definitely, it comes down to lifestyle and how you choose to live your life. And then I think when you do that, you give permission for other people to do the same, so they don't feel like they also have to run around. And it's not this competition. And that's something that I equate with my youth. Is I used to think that life is just competition. Grew up running, and it's just we're all in this race. It's a human race, right? But it's not really supposed to be a human race. It's just about really building that compassion and kind of going through life together. We're all in this together. We're all in this ocean, right? Or we're all in this plane heading to one destination.
രാമകഥാ ഗാനലയം മംഗളമിൻ തമ്പുരുവിൽ പകരുക സാഗരമേ ശ്രുതിലയ സാഗരമേ സാഗേതം പാടുകയാ ഹേ രാമാ.
WPAA is proud to welcome back to our studio Renee LaPierre.
Thank you. I hear the drizzle of the rain, like a memory it falls, soft and warm, continuing, tapping on my roof and walls.
People hear that I step up to the microphone and I tell stories from my own life. If they say I couldn't do that, there's one of two reasons. One is I'm afraid to speak in public, and the other is nothing interesting has ever happened to me. But the great Ira Glass of This American Life, he says great stories happen to people who know how to tell them. Everybody's got stories to tell. The trick is learning how to tell them in an effective and engaging way. That's why there are workshops out there. People get the skills. It's a learned skill.
Every aspect of WPAA-TV involves volunteers, volunteer crews to create the building, to build it out, and to create spaces. The most recent build out was done by a group of high school students for community service to create this hangout space or drop-in space for folks like themselves. As you can see, they're using it right now.
We can get this one. Oh, let's show the lights. Let's show the lights. The lights. Wait. Oh, I know what trash cans. Ooh. Yeah, LED lights in here too.
With it? Yeah, this one. Actually, Nico, you're making the one for us.
WPAA, today is Community Media Day, and here at WPAA we are very supportive of theater. We love theater groups, especially for those of you that want to come down here and do a little improv sometime. I am very happy to present the Backyard Theater Ensemble.
Yeah. Oh, thank
And
you.
there
Thank
they
you.
are.
Thank you. It has been said that man is the only living creature capable of laughter, and that it is this faculty that separates us from the lower animals. But this theory should be questioned when we examine some of the objects of that laughter. For instance, pain. Pain, needless to say, is no laughing matter, unless, of course, it's someone else doing the suffering. For instance, in the village of Estemco, where entertainment is hard to come by, why, the man with a toothache can keep their ribs tickled 4 weeks. I mean, why the sight of a man in anguish from an abscessed tooth that has swollen his jaw to the size of an orange is funny? Why, I can't say. We're living in an age of advanced science and skilled hands. There's no longer any need for pain. If it's gentleness you want, gentleness you shall have. Okay, now, please open your mouth so I can examine you. Come now, open up. My dear Sexton, inexperienced as I am, I know it's necessary for you to open your mouth. It's absolutely mandatory for all work involving the mouth that it be opened first. I mean, it would be highly impractical for me to pull your tooth from the outside now, wouldn't it? All right, here we go. Don't do that. Don't grab my hands. Let go. Let go, I say. Oh, what a mess this is going to be. I told you not to twitch.
Butcher! You carpenter! You're God's vengeance for my sins. Compared to you, the toothache was a joy.
Ignorant peasant. The only thing harder than the roots in your teeth are the brains in your head.
As one final thing I got to say, thank you, WPAA, the whole studio. This opportunity is not afforded to us with anything but the greatest amount of respect, and we love it here. We love everything they do for the community here, and we appreciate you guys coming out and celebrating Community Media Day. So thank you for sticking around, checking out our show. Check out Connecticut Compass Theater Company on Facebook. Shameless shill. I can't do something without doing it. But yeah, thank you. I hope you had a fun time.
This is the Three Bears. Somebody's been eating my porridge. Somebody's been sleeping in my bed. Oh, there's the baby New Year now, sleeping in the bed. People have fun. They love to see the whole thing. They smile. It's worth it all. We make a bunch of happy people.
You can come down and do one of these green screens and do your own holiday greeting. 4th of July. 4th of July.
They're getting ahead of us now here.
4th of July. We're kind of going backwards. Come out of the grave. Oh, another hand.
So anyways, guys, come down. And you see how we're just having fun here? It's a relaxed environment.
And clearly you do not need to be professional to do this because no bueno. No professional.
There's plenty of space. You can bring people along.
I believe, I want to say this is Labor Day, right? Isn't that? Probably. I'm not sure. I don't know, but you can, ready?